Now, the
Great.
next topic I wanted to jump right into is I want to talk about this term value add. You know, we hear value add in our space, and it always relates to
Yeah.
renovations or upgrades, if you will, done to a building or a structure. But in your guys' case, in your guys' business plan, not only do you value adding, you add value to the assets you purchase, but you strategically and diligently add value to the residents of the buildings that you require. And you add value to the environment as well. So maybe we can please talk to us about your business model, as we're very excited to hear about. And I love this, you guys, investing with a purpose. So please talk more about that.
Okay. You want to go first? Want me to go first? Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So, and it was interesting because when we would do the value add, we didn't start out with the mission in mind. We started out because so many people talk about the value add and they'll talk about the returns, and we say, you know, that's nice, but first, let's talk about defense. It's great to have a good offense, but it's more important to have a really good defense. So, like if I'm just saying, holding up my pen, and I'm saying this is where market value is. If you buy a big value add deal, you're buying it at a discount. And then if you raise the value of it because you're doing the value add, even if the market goes down a little bit, you begin to enter a recession, you're not underwater. It's really important to have something. We say that it's kind of like the big bad wolf. That's what we always will consider a recession. And you need to really decide, is your house made of bricks or is it made of sticks? Or, you know, or is it, what is it?
Straw.
Straw? Okay, so it's straw. And when the big bad wolf, that's the recession, that is the recession, huffs and puffs, you really don't want to be in a spot where you're over leveraged. And so when you do a value add deal, there's a lot of value that you can create and increase the equity in a flat and in a down market. And so we say, number one, it's a great defensive move. But number two, it's a great move financially, because as you create that value add, you can create above average returns for your investors. And then that kind of creates that multiple that we're always looking for. We're always looking for I don't know if I can say this, an IRR or whatever it is. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but we're looking for nice IRRs and a nice equity multiple, certainly exceeding what your average person can do. So that makes a big difference. And then when you're talking about the PSI and the PEI, we refer to that as our positive social impact and our positive environmental impact. And this came along when we first were buying real estate. We kind of looked at it like multiple streams of income, and we're getting ready to pull the trigger on a couple of cannabis companies. And when we were looking at that, we realized that the money that would be made in cannabis was going to be recreational use. And that was just not where we wanted to go. We had just different personal challenges with one of our children, and they were struggling with drugs and alcohol a little bit. We thought this is not a place where we want to go. And the gift that brought us is it made us realize that under our nose, all this time, we have a beautiful opportunity to make an even bigger impact than we initially did. So when we began, we had a person manage for us, and we looked at the way they were treating the residents, and we thought we can do better and we can treat our residents better. And so we started to self-manage literally a year later. But then what we've realized as we were looking at some like multiple streams of income as well, we realized that not only could we just treat our residents as human beings, that we could really take it up another notch, quite a few notches. And it's like the saying goes, you know, instead of just giving them fish, we can teach them how to fish. Some people will say, okay, I get it. You have great customer service. And we say, we do have great customer service, but it goes much more than that. We really are making a difference in their lives by the way that we treat our residents. And we've discovered, and one of our strategic values, you know, we're vertically, you know, aligned because we self-manage as well, is we have found that really to truly bring on the right people that are going to make that difference, you need to ask the key questions when we hire the people. Because a lot of people, yeah, at the end of the day, they don't really care about the residents that much. They'll get their job done and they'll talk about how quickly they can get the work done. but we're looking for, did the residents like you? Because if we're not hearing something along that tone, then we're not really going to hire the person, because we have found that empathy isn't something that is very, certainly for us, it hasn't been easy to teach. It's something that people, they either have or they don't have. Unfortunately, if you ask the right questions, you can find people that are exceptional at what they do, and they also have empathy. And then on the environmental side, we do things because it makes sense with the environment, certainly for the money side. And so we're always going to reduce the cost of water and our electric bill and our gas bill. And we have like digital sensors on our water meters. So if there's, say, for instance, an underground water leak, we're going to get those text messages. So we do that, but then taking it up another level, we're focused on teaching our residents about taking care of Mother Earth and composting and things like that. Maddie's bumping me. She's telling me, she's giving me that little bump, like, okay,
Well, no,
it's my turn.
I want to reflect back on the value add as well. So when we used to take over buildings, in 2011, 12, 13, these are tough neighborhoods in Dallas. We take over buildings in C neighborhoods, and a lot of them were in foreclosure at the time. We took over one that was 44% occupied, very unstable, and needed a lot of work. When we first took over buildings, we would, try to secure them the best we could and put in cameras and fix the gates and get rid of, drug dealers and different people that were in the buildings, so that we could make them better for families. And then from there, we, would have to move out people that maybe hadn't paid rent in 6 months, 8 months, and really clean house from there, and then start inputting our impact program with the children's programs. And we would do
resident events.
Yeah, our resident events,
Self-defense.
Self-defense for women. So we did a lot of different things. We did Zumba classes, you name it, we've kind of done it. And now it's a little bit different with the value add. So we were able to really add a lot of value based on the buildings that we were buying at the time. Now things have changed, the market's changed. We've spent a few years really putting together our plan for the future and how we're going to add value, which now we need to force the value versus, because a lot of these buildings are stabilized for the most part. So the difference that, we make is we've got a pretty solid plan where we're forcing value add, as well as adding in the positive social impact. And so in the future, the plan is to also, we feel like we've done a good job with the different things that we've been doing for social impact with the families and the children, doing our after school programs, free tutoring for the children. We put in personal development libraries, but now we want to also do a focus on the teenagers. So with helping them apply to college, drug addiction,
And
anxiety,
anxiety,
depression, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So we're working on that for the future.
There seems to be a fallacy in that is in business. You can be both a shrewd business person and a benevolent business person. And in your guys' case, and I mean, in our conversation with you, when you guys started talking about what you were doing, not only value-add, not only multifamily real estate investing, but also, all the initiatives you guys have put into place for environmental and social purposes, we were totally wowed by it.
Yeah.
And it's not only, hey, once a year we buy a gift for the kids in our building, and there's a lot of groups that mostly is helpful for sure, and is nice, but it's somewhat of a, it could, some people could take it as somewhat of a facade. Your plan is much more detailed than such kind of processes that other groups have, which is, the buildings and the properties you own, the tenants, you guys kind of are are the stewards of those tenants, and you're literally teaching. And you talked about at times you even had people come there once a month to educate or coaching, so many different levels.
many different levels.
You know, so yeah, talk to us more about kind of those initiatives that you have in place. And you did touch on it a bit, but a bit more if you may.
Oh, sure.
Sure. Well, we, you know, Patrick and I refer to it as not just our vision, but also our mission. So, you know, like Patrick was saying, when we hire people that really understand that. And a lot of the people that are currently on our team have been on our team for years. So they have a really solid understanding of, you know, what the plan is and what the mission is. Do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, I can say that it really helps for team building too, because when you have a team member that's working with us and you say, you know, of course it's a business, and we always say, you know, make no mistake, this is a for-profit business, but at the same time, you know, to the points that the two of you have made, and we just love the fact that you guys love this. I mean, and it's really neat that you wanted to talk and share this with everybody, because we're really hoping it just expands in a big way, is when you have team members that are working in that environment, they really feel good, because it's so nice to know that you're truly making a difference, and they're on the front lines. And so when you see somebody that's struggling, and we could just say example after example of somebody, sometimes it's teenage pregnancy, it could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could be the abuses, just the different abuses that go on some of the properties. And so when they're able to help them through that, or get them guidance, or refer them to a book, or talk about how we can help them, and certainly there's outside resources as well, it really makes a big difference with the people that work for us too. They're more motivated, and they want to be a part of something like that. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead, please.
Sorry. We are able to lower our costs as well, because we have less turnover of the buildings, and so our turnover costs end up lower. So, but you know, like it's really, really cool to see, you know, we have some of our team members just telling us different stories about things that have happened, or, you know, like during COVID, of course, there was a lot going on, and our team members went out and knocked on the doors to the churches, to the nonprofit organizations, just anyone that they could, to be able to get help for people, you know. And then we had, you know, our operations manager, she's amazing lady that Patrick and I have worked with now for probably 9 years. And, you know, even just little things that seem so little but are so huge, you know, like she said that one lady, an elderly lady, her husband was hospitalized for COVID. And she's, you know, the lady it was during that storm that they had in February, and she was going to try and catch a bus for the hospital. And our operations manager said, please let me, you know, send you in an Uber. And so she did. She sent her in an Uber. And when the lady came back, she said, I'll never forget what you did for me. So it's, you know, it really has, you know, the mission is driven deeply within the organization, and which is why we feel like self-management is so important for us, because it's hard to drive that through when it, you know, when you're not overseeing it and it's a third party.